The following presentation is part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network.
You've tuned into the Holochronicles.
Continue with the operation. Unit 5 and ready.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 45 of the Holochronicles. I'm your host, Andy.
And I'm your other host, Josh. Welcome in.
We are part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network, where you can find us at beyondtheblastdoors.com for all articles, content, podcasts, and otherwise.
Yeah, we got 6 shows on there. Just saying.
Yep. You can find us on Beyond the Blast Doors on YouTube for all of our live and recorded video podcasts. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, at Holochronicles. And if you'd like to interact with us on more of a day-to-day basis, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Holochronicles.
I think there's a theme here.
Yeah, come chat with us. That's the theme.
Yeah.
Come find us, chat with us, share, like, subscribe, and if you feel so compelled, write a review.
Yeah, like, subscribe, write a review. Thank you. If you're just joining us for the first time, welcome.
And if you are, or if you haven't been keeping up with the network, I would like to just recap a little bit. The Bombad Cast just put out a pod this weekend on the future of audiobooks.
I'm interested in that one.
Interesting topic.
I want to hear that.
You are a consumer of audiobooks
I
for
am.
sure.
I would say I'm their target audience when it comes to that.
Right in the wheelhouse.
Right in the wheelhouse.
Right there, that guy.
I read a lot.
You consume.
I do.
You consume.
It's how I fall asleep.
Shannon has recently put up, or this last week, put up an article about the new EA release of Star Wars Squadrons.
That's a good article.
It's a good game. It's going to be a good
I'm excited
game.
for that.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have like a network, I don't know, squadron.
I'm going to have to learn how to...
You're going to have to
learn how
dust
to
off the controller.
not get motion sickness because I'm going to feel like I'm really flying.
Yeah, you might see some network hosted streams, just hours of us blasting.
Yeah. You know, hey, let's little Beyond the Blast Doors takes on.
Hey,
Red,
maybe that's
takes on Red 5 or something.
Yeah. Maybe that's a good Patreon gift we'll give out. Play Rebel, play Squadrons with the Holochronicles.
Yeah.
We hope you're better than we are.
Kick Andy's butt. And then earlier this week, I had the privilege of being on Pete's podcast, Around the Galaxy, where we talked about what was the most Jedi moment we've seen on screen, large or small screen. So that was derived from a meme that Pete put out there that said Luke's move of force ghosting himself to battle, or force projecting himself to battle Kylo Ren in The Last Jedi. Was,
Ultimately force ghosting himself, though, let's be honest.
Yeah, that one led to the other for sure. Was the most Jedi move ever because it was a pacifist move that allowed Hope to survive, and we debated that. Ultimately, I disagreed with him.
Yeah.
But I think we both came out at the end pretty satisfied with where we ended. So, we talked about what it means to be a Jedi originally, how it maybe has changed over the 1,000 years of peace,
right,
until we are brought up to current times with Star Wars in the timeline with Rey. So, yeah,
I'm with you. I watched a bit of that. It's a good episode because when I saw that meme that Pete from Around the Galaxy reposted, he admitted he got it from somewhere else. So,
right, it wasn't his,
which is awesome. That's what I love about, you always learn something. I kind of agreed with that. Like, I'd never looked at it from that perspective. So it was interesting to hear your take as I didn't make it all the way through the episode yet, but it was interesting just the parts that I got through. Your take was, of course, a good one. on other Jedi moments that have happened throughout the saga.
Yeah, we talked about a few, and I'm sure there's some that we didn't touch on, and I would love to hear you guys' feedback on those if you have other ideas. I mean, even in the books, or
and we talk a lot in general about the movies, but the books and the comics and heck, even the video games and all the stuff have a lot of extra canon that can add Jedi moments, right?
Exactly.
I did have a question though.
Let's hear it.
In watching you and Pete talk, one comment, and it's so weird because you hear this a lot, especially in Star Wars. You hear this a ton, and even in the movies, and it just, I don't know why it clicked this time for me, but it did. And it was, I think you were saying it, and it was bring balance to the Force. Luke was supposed to bring balance to the Force, and again,
right. Anakin was
that made me think Anakin, right?
Too, but then did Luke actually do it?
Right. And that whole term balance to the Force is what rung with me a little bit. And I asked the question, who, to myself, and now I'm going to ask it to you.
Self,
Andy, who wants balance in the Force? I mean, who, for one, is judging what balance equals in the Force? And for two, who really wants it? And it led me to another conclusion of, what if the Force doesn't care who wants it? What if the Force has no... Now, we have to identify what the Force is, right? But go ahead.
Right. Well, to your point, I don't think the Force does care.
Right.
I think, because your idea of what balance means could be different than my idea. And therefore, a galaxy of ideas of what balance mean is going to be a little different person to person.
Or a lot.
Or a lot different, right. Yeah. Because there are those that use the Force for selfish gain.
Yeah.
And there are those that use the Force for benevolent gain, for the good of the people, for good of everybody instead of the good of self only.
Yeah.
So to your point, I don't think the Force cares.
Or what if it does? And we don't understand what the balancing the Force means, right?
Mm-hmm.
I gave you this goofy analogy. And see if you can help me flesh it out.
Well, okay. Before you do,
okay,
I would just say, and I've seen this. This idea is not mine. In fact, I saw this recently, probably about 2 weeks ago. Somebody just posted, and I apologize for not remembering who, but it just said, and I was like, yeah, this is good. It said, all it said was, balancing the Force isn't 50-50, y'all.
Right.
Yeah.
Which even then has to answer a question before you can validate that statement. You have to say, like, does one question you have to ask is, does the Force want to be balanced? And then the question even before that is, and I already said it, does the Force care to be balanced? And then leap forward in front of those questions and ask the next question, what does balance mean?
Yeah, what does balance mean?
What does balance actually mean? And maybe leap forward again and come to the conclusion, balance means exactly what's already happened. Balance does, the Force, the living Force, and then, the Force needs all the counterbalances that happen throughout, whatever occurrences that are going on, right? So maybe the Force is always balanced, and the balance is because it's always swinging, that you have to have enough momentum to bring it back to the other side. So each time,
it's like a pendulum.
A pendulum, but each time, or a wave, but each time that the Force throws itself in one direction, it's purposeful, meaning it's going to crash, but then it's going to come ebbing back in the other direction, and it may crash again.
Okay, so I like where you're going with this, because so there are times when the Force is just doing this.
There's in the middle.
There's some Force one way, there's some Force the other way. And actually the Force is just, it's living, dying, it's recreating, it's, the life force, and it's existing as far as a natural
or do that again.
Place.
Do that again.
Okay. But then there are times when people or aliens or whatever, Force users use the Force, and it goes in a way, and one that, in order to make it go one way a little more severely, there needs to be a push.
A Force push.
But But then once that push reaches a point, it comes back with that same
velocity.
comes with that same yeah. I mean, it does lose a little bit over time, but I mean, in order to get it swung one way, it has to come back the other way.
There you go.
So
and we're going super, super deep and hypothetical here, but you could almost make the argument that this analogy, which is the slow pendulum, what you might call a time of peace, is actually when the Force is most unbalanced. Because it's not operating in the way that it's designed. It's designed to throw itself in certain directions, influence things one way or the other. It's designed to grab a chosen one and make that person absolutely change the way things work for a while. And Luke or Anakin.
So you're thinking, so let me put words in your mouth. You're thinking to bring balance to the Force means to bring somebody to wreck everything that has existed in a way that it kind of changes everyone's mind.
And it also changes the galaxy.
Alters the paradigm.
It does. It changes the galaxy, right?
Okay.
Okay, and then we could put evil and good in there and then define evil and good. But look, we've looked back on the Empire, especially from the canon that supports the movies. The Empire was not terrible, all right? Yes, they were a bit tyrannical. And yes, ultimately under the Emperor's final reign and the Death Star 2, it was a killing machine for some reason. But prior to that, it was just an order machine. It just kind of brought law and order.
Right. It was like, in a way, the Roman Empire. It provided
right. I think it would be
structure
better.
And
I like the comparison to the
roads.
Roman.
Yeah.
The Roman Empire is a better comparison to me than the uniforms and costumes of the movies, which led more towards the German, the
right.
Nazi regime, which is what they were going for, which is fine. Those are the sign of the times. But what I'm saying is that, the Roman Empire, it went to some major, let's say, outer systems and kind of say, hey guys, we have a currency. We also have laws. You got to send your money back to the emperor.
Pay your taxes.
Taxes. But guess what? We're going to make sure that you've got aqueducts and you've got roads and bridges and all these things.
Infrastructure.
But we'll kill you if you mess up. I mean, this is the way it goes, right?
Yeah.
We'll cut your head off. It's no big deal. All right.
Yeah,
and we'll steal. We'll make some of you slaves. Don't worry about it. Not everyone, just the ones that are strong. See?
And then we're going to absorb your culture.
We'll absorb it.
Yeah.
And you're fine. You're fine. So, I mean, and which can be obviously construed by the people that were living just fine in their huts and villages, or in what we're talking about, Star Wars.
They were modernized.
In their outer systems, and then all of a sudden a Star Destroyer shows up and a garrison comes down and tells them what to do. I get it. But is it evil, or is it another way? What would you say that the officer on the Star Destroyer thinks that he is going to do evil? Or if he has a knowledge of the Force, does he think that he's supporting?
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't think the Force is good or bad.
There you go.
It's just,
but that's hard to say when you have a light side and a dark side.
Well, just like with anything, even for non-Force users, you have the choice to do good or do evil with your words and your deeds. So whether you have the Force or not, okay, this person has the Force, this person doesn't. Are they going to use the things that they have, the abilities that they have? Are they going to use them for the good of people or for the good of themselves, right? For selfish gain,
right,
or for the gain of everybody, whether you have Force abilities or not. And so in that regard, the Force is just, it's being manipulated. However it's being manipulated, it is itself neither good nor bad, unless the Force, okay, so I'm thinking of a couple things here.
Here we go.
I'm thinking of a couple things here. Like either it has a way to kind of self-correct if things are getting a little too one way, or a little in what the Force deems imbalanced, right? So, like there was the Emperor and Vader. Well, then the Force says, you know what? Twins, Luke and Leia. We're going to go 2 and 2. We're going to balance this out a little bit. All right. Well, okay. Well, there's the Emperor / Snoke, well, or Kylo, if you want to go that route. And then there's Rey and Kylo, or Ben.
Yeah.
And so there's in a way there is a balance. I mean, so I don't know if that is is so much the Force kind of trying to self-correct itself a little bit, or if it's still more of a choice
Or
among
does
the individual.
Does it care?
Or does it care?
So the Force, you could also put, in our world,
Because the Force is going to exist
the Force does exist.
no matter, and this is, we're talking like it's actual. The Force is going to exist whether people are using it for the light or for the dark. The Force is going to exist. It has existed. It just is a matter of how people are choosing to use it.
So I made
In
this
some regard.
and then in that point, I made this analogy, and I'm going to try and get it out in my head. It almost works, but I haven't, and you can help me flesh it out here. If we made the Force like the ocean, remember this? Okay, so we make it like the ocean, and down on the panhandle, there's a hurricane. But we have people saying, we need to balance the Force, or we need to balance the ocean. We need to balance the ocean.
How do you
balance
a hurricane?
The hurricane comes through, but like, this is evil. It's terrible. It's
going to destroy.
It's destroying. It's wrecking. Let's go up to Iceland and let's build, a temple, or let's, how do you balance, or let's find the person that's going to stop a hurricane? That was this weird analogy I meant, where the Force doesn't care, because a hurricane doesn't care, obviously. Hurricane's nature. Nature's like, this is what happened. We had some low pressure systems hit at the wrong time.
Right. And it's gonna wipe out a town or two. We're gonna flood some areas, but we've been doing this for thousands and millennia.
That's my ultimate point, though, is that I love all the talk, even amongst the Jedi, because you could take the Jedi and be like, okay, again, your arrogance. Because I don't think do we ever hear Sith talking about balancing the Force? No.
Nah.
They're like, no, give it all here.
Yeah.
Right?
We want it all one way.
We want it all our way, which, again, the Force is totally fine with for a minute, and then it hits the wall and it comes shooting back the other way. That's the error of the Sith. They draw all the Force to them.
That's if the Force does this.
It does.
Okay. That's if the Force does this.
Now, I just said it does. It's canon now.
Okay. All right. Well, what if the Force is like a tuning fork?
Okay. So it just vibrates.
So you hit a tuning fork and you hold it, and there's that noise it makes. And that noise is perfect, right?
Right.
And the Force by itself is perfect. It is what it is. It's perfect. There is no good or bad in it. It's just what it is. And it even looks like a tuning fork once you hit it. But what's actually really happening is that it's going back and forth
at a rapid rate,
like crazy,
right?
Like so fast we can't even see it sometimes. But the product of that, all that movement and all that action that doesn't look like is a ton, gives you that perfect note, that whatever the note it's tuned to, that sound is. Now you touch one of the forks, and you fudge it up. Yeah, it doesn't work the way it should. It needs both of them.
So your tuning fork analogy, 100 times better than my ocean analogy. So I like that. Okay, no, that's good. That's what I was asking for. Is like, how do we take this? Because I like that, because it still supports my back and forth. My bat, it's got to hit the other side to come back. That's what a tuning fork does, right? It sends sonic. Right. It's vibrating, and they're hitting each other in perfect harmony in the middle, right? And they give
that's how you get that.
And it's weird. You can move it around and find the center. Yeah. So,
yeah,
that's a good one.
And you can touch it on your jawbone to see if it's broken.
Right. Okay.
I've
never broken my jaw.
Well, that's one way you check, because the vibration in the bone. If all of a sudden you put a tuning fork on a bone that you think it's broken, and it is broken, they'll start doing this, and that hurts. That's broken.
Okay.
That's like old school doctor
stuff. All right. Well, man, we're going way down the rabbit hole now. We just got a tuning fork lesson.
And hurricanes. Does the Force even
care? A butterfly flaps its wings in Beijing.
And
a hurricane in the Panhandle.
Yeah.
But anyway, that to me kind of rung as like everyone keeps saying balance the Force. Guess what? Who's asked the Force? And then the other answer might be the Force doesn't care. The Force does care in the sense that it has to balance itself, but balance may come through turmoil and cannot be altered directly by any one individual, even the chosen one. Obviously, it didn't work.
Right.
So whose doctrine was that? Was it the Force's doctrine that had laid it upon the steps of the temple?
Was it in one of those books?
Was it in one of those books?
In the treehouse?
As usual with any religion, hokey, what do they call it? Hokey. What does Han call it?
Yeah.
Whatever. Any religion, usually the foundation is based on something, a belief, and then the doctrine is formed by the patrons on their way up throughout the ages. So I think the Jedi have actually created their own problem with this balance of the Force issue.
Prophecy.
And maybe this is a weird one. Maybe even the sequels tried to dispel that a little bit and be like, hey, it's not under. I mean, definitely The Last Jedi. It's not going to go how you think. This isn't. We can't fix this. The Jedi Order needs
maybe
to
it's a
stop.
made up problem. Yeah,
It's a made up problem. You tap in, it's going to be dark. It's going to be light. There's going to be people that are attracted to one side or the other. The Force doesn't care unless it gets sucked the wrong direction for too long. And then it's like, boop, Broom Boy, or boop, Rey, or boop, Luke. It'll just take care of its own problem. The Force doesn't care. So there's no balancing of the Force. The Force desires
it's like
turmoil.
It's like nature, like a forest fire. Like it's devastating and it wipes out, and it I mean, thousands of acres, could be gone. But from that, regrowth happens, and the forest thrives.
Nature would never apologize for that.
Oh, wait. Nature finds a way.
It finds a way. Thank you. Ian McCullen. Ian, that was his name in the whatever.
Jeff.
I know it's Jeff Goldblum, but Ian something. Anyway, someone will correct me. There you go. So I just thought that was interesting. Thanks for having a Force talk with me.
Good rabbit trail.
We're not only collectors of toys, but we're also collectors of silly ideas.
I like that.
All right.
I like that. Well, hey.
Star Wars news.
We are a podcast that occasionally touches on toys. But there was a little bit of news in the toy department, if you will. Thank you.
There you go.
Haslab announced they will be doing another Haslab project. You might recall the first and only Haslab project they've done so far, and that was the Katana, Jabba's sail barge that came out about, was it a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? Well,
February of 19, isn't that, or was it February of this year?
No. It was 2 Februaries ago when we got it, but we signed up a year before that. Yeah. So it took a year. It basically took a year, right?
Yeah.
From when you could sign up. Yeah. Sign the.
We made a video about it.
We even
we made an unboxing video, and then I totally forgot that we made that corny intro to the unboxing video.
Yes, we did.
We should actually put it up right here. We should put the corny intro up. I might edit that in.
Okay.
And be like, ladies and gentlemen, here's the corny intro to our Hasbro sail barge.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
No, we were pumped. So go on.
And the sail barge, large in part, is big success. I think so. I think what they get, like about 7,000 ish.
Marc was 3, I think, or
it was 5.
Marc was 5. Thank you.
Then
they kept going past to 7. Did they reopen it for a bit? Which is one thing
they opened it to Europe, Canada, and Europe.
There you go. Yeah.
And so if the deal was if they got 5,000 pre-orders, then they'd move ahead with the project. Yeah. Right.
But they haven't done any more since that.
No. It was a big project. And awesome project. The sail barge is incredible.
It's an excellent toy.
Josh and I were both fortunate enough to get one, and man, it's awesome. It is a centerpiece item.
Yep.
It's big,
It's huge.
I mean, it's
4
made,
feet.
It's made for 3 3/4 inch size figures, which was great. But man, it's big, man.
One thing I didn't realize, because I just watched Jedi, it's pretty close to scale. I didn't realize that the little skiffs were not too much smaller than the barge. And then when you look in that, just because you're talking about a 5-year-old memory that just overrides your memory.
Yeah.
And so in my memory, it was huge. It's a barge, and it's got the platform. I just watched it, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of small. It's not. I mean, I'm just saying,
closer
scale-wise,
to scale than
it's
you
closer
think,
to scale than you think. So I'm more impressed now by that sail barge from Haslab that we got. It's pretty cool. It's actually definitely one of the coolest modern toys that references back to vintage, where you feel really connected to, like, this is what should have been around. Obviously,
Right.
you know, needed some demand. Who knew that Jabba's sail barge would get so much attention? Probably not in the 80s.
I mean, probably like up to that point, the biggest toy that had been made was probably the Millennium Falcon or an AT-AT.
Or the Imperial shuttle was pretty big.
That was pretty big.
It's a pretty big, but it just has big wings, you know, so it makes the scale look large.
Well, and the Death Star playset.
Death Star playset's pretty
good
big.
size.
AT-AT's probably the closest one to like a large toy that really gets you close to scale, even though the 3 3/4 aren't quite as small as they should be. But yeah.
But anyway, so
to your point.
Yeah. So when that information was dropped earlier this week, I put a poll up. Not a pull up, a poll up.
You could do a pull up. I mean, come on.
I could do one.
One
I could
pull
do
up.
one pull up right now. And I posted up there just four choices that just immediately came to mind. I said, would you rather, you know, if Haslab does a new project with this, what they say they're doing, would you like it to be, out of these four choices, a Sandcrawler, a Blockade Runner, Razor's Crest, a little more modern, or an AT-AT? Now, an AT-AT, technically, they've made versions of this, you know. Razor's Crest, there isn't any Razor Crests out there yet. The only one in the foreseeable future is the Lego one, and that's this fall. Blockade Runner, there's Lego. There was supposed to be a Blockade Runner toy back in '85, but it was scrapped. But there was a prototype for a Blockade Runner that exists out there. I've seen pictures. I posted a picture of it. I should have grabbed one for this. And then a Sandcrawler. There is a vintage Sandcrawler that you can fit some Jawas in, but it's not close to scale. It's just, I mean,
Here's my only issue with this poll.
Okay.
The one thing that Haslab brought us, obviously, with the barge was a toy that hadn't ever really existed.
I know.
Maybe Lego had made one. Maybe you got a small scale one in a Hot Wheel or something. I don't know. But it just never, that wasn't something any of us could have dreamt of coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
We would have definitely gone somewhere else. I know I would have. I just never would have predicted sail barge is what's coming up.
Right.
But then when it did, you were like, wow, what an iconic. What an iconic.
Yeah. So what am I forgetting then? Because
I don't have an answer here, but everything I see on this poll exists in actually numerous forms. The Sandcrawler, I guess, now that I've said that, probably would be the most
of a departure of what's already out there.
Yeah, because the vintage one is not popular or prevalent. You can't. They're expensive because there's not many of them. They're $600 with a box. Actually, probably
with the remote.
I think I paid four to five with the remote, no box. So I think they might be closer to 8 or 9 without a box. I haven't looked in a while, so I could be dead wrong. But the Sandcrawler, though, you could make big, like on the same scale as the barge. I'm looking at the table you're sitting at and just picturing it sitting on there.
Well, and see, here's why I thought of a Sandcrawler, because there hasn't, aside from that little remote control one, there hasn't really been one. There's been some Lego versions, but there hasn't really been one since, and it got a little steam again through the Mandalorian.
Exactly. I was going to bring that up.
Okay.
But think about it, too, is that it also offers maximum display capability with internals.
Right.
You
can
can
take
open
out
the side.
panels, and there's maybe some rooms, control room.
I think they like that. I think Haslab is going for that. Like, what's a platform we can put toys into?
It could come with, a Jawa or some robots, or some scrap robots.
Or what would be a vintage toy? I mean, because Barge hit us pretty square in the jaw with a yak face. I think that might have propelled post sales pretty heavily. It might have propelled the value of the barge closer to its build date
Yeah.
because they announced that kind of later.
Yeah.
We signed up for the barge right when they announced it. We're like, yeah, we're in. And then they said, oh, by the way, you're going to get yak face. And boom, I think people were like, well, I want a yak face and a card. I want to put it in acrylic,
Yeah.
with
Well,
a coin.
the Blockade Runner received the most votes of those four.
It
at
did.
33%. Over 100 people voted. A third of them said Blockade Runner.
I wouldn't hate to see the Blockade Runner. It's just I have one in Lego, and it's not even the collector series, but it's that big one they released
cool,
just
yeah.
recently. It's cool, but it's still not the collector series, which is even a little thicker. They're different, different, beefier. But would I be stoked? I mean, unless it was 6 feet long, then yeah, I'd be pumped. I have no idea where it'd go.
6 foot long. That would be awesome. That would be like the old.
The barge is 4 feet long.
I know, but like you start talking those dimensions. Now you're talking GI Joe USS Flag kind of.
But don't you think that's what Haslab should be? Haslab should be, look, we're selling 5,000 of these. They're big. You've got a space commitment. You got a monetary commitment. I mean, and it's big.
You're going to need a table for
That's what I want Haslab for, because we can go get Black Series and Vintage Series and all this stuff in their scale, and keep them in the box or take them out and play. It doesn't matter.
All right. Well, let me throw out this one thing here, because at I am the Bendu, his name's Chris,
Aren't they all?
and at no one is Chris. I don't know what his name is.
Interesting.
Yeah. They both together threw out the idea of, how about this? The Ghost with a Hera and Chopper as part of the figures that come with.
Let me ask you this question, though.
Are you down with that?
Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
And we only have one instance here. Is Haslab here to make vintage nostalgic toys or not? Because if the answer to that question will dictate whether or not we're going to see a Ghost or a Razor's Crest or whatever. Or you could just answer it. Maybe you can't answer that. Obviously, I can't either. We don't know yet. But should Haslab be here to give us the toys from the original trilogy that we deserve or never got? Or is there any toys left? Maybe that's a good answer.
So from a business and marketing point of view, you want a product that's going to hit the biggest audience, right?
Sail barge, though.
Okay,
that was
their first one. And what's the biggest pool?
You would think that I love your line of thinking.
People of a certain age,
sure,
right? They're going to drive the Haslab projects, right? People
with money,
that are established, right? And
people in their 40s
or more, 40s, 50s, and yes, they wanted to hit the ground running, and they did. They nailed it. Now, what's something that can get that original trilogy group, because they're the ones that are the most established, as well as maybe trickle into a newer pool, dip their toes in maybe some other demographics? That's why I think the Sandcrawler might not be a bad get, because
I don't think it is either.
It's relevant now for all the Mando fans and the original trilogy fans. Like, if you just went Ghost, like, that's cool, especially with the younger crowd. Now, is the younger crowd going to post up 5,000 pre-orders?
No. No. Let me just counter Ghost.
Depends on how much it is.
Now, I know Rebels is a much more popular animated series than, say, Resistance was.
Yes.
But you wouldn't be excited about a Resistance, racer fighter or whatever they called them. I haven't watched that show in a while.
Right.
You wouldn't be excited if Haslab came out with that. So let's rewind it back. We are Rebels fans, but some people aren't. I don't watch cartoons.
Right.
So you're not going to capture that entire audience. However, if you go to the core of Star Wars, any Star Wars fan can't be like, well, I don't like the originals. Well, some can, I suppose, which is interesting.
What if there's a Star Destroyer?
Again, we got Lego just pumping those things out, and we got the fake Lego pumping the other ones out for half the price.
Oh, yeah. What are they called?
I don't even know. Lego.
No.
Mego.
Legos.
Yeah. But I don't hate Ghost. I mean, that would be that'd be beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something to think about.
But Sandcrawler, though, I think is a great pull. However, they might have the Tatooine back to back. Can we go anywhere else?
Sandcrawler got the least amount of votes in this poll.
Children. It did.
It did.
Right.
16%.
Well, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
What's your prediction? Let's write it down. We're going to mark it on June 28th.
Me personally,
What do you say it is?
I would love
A long pause.
a Blockade Runner.
Wow. I don't know why I'm against it. There's no
I know
reason.
you love that.
I love
ship.
It's my favorite ship. I just don't know. I think it's just because of the over, Lego but I guess you can't take Lego into it.
I wouldn't be bummed with any. I'm going
Well,
to.
of course.
I'm
not.
gonna
I mean,
be
come
in no
on.
matter what, right?
on.
They're not gonna do something lame like.
Well, they might do like the spider droid from Jabba's palace. What if they did that? I wouldn't buy that.
Nah, that's a
Like I said, I
pass.
just watched Jedi when 3PO and R2 are coming in. That creepy thing comes
pass.
walking. Ooh. All right. Well,
Okay.
the winner, Blockade Runner, for the poll. Good luck to you folks that want a Blockade Runner.
You
I
want a Sandcrawler?
think I want a Sandcrawler. I want a big ass Sandcrawler.
That'd be cool.
I mean,
Motorized?
what?
Would that be friggin' rad?
Of course, motorized.
Yeah. And
That's
if it's
right.
not,
That's
I'm gonna
probably
make
why
it.
it's not going to happen. Yeah, if not, I'm going to put it on a wagon.
All right, there was something else there. It's not in the news, but it was something that I was reminded of, Josh, and that's the Star Wars 6-pack. Can you post that up real quick?
I just love the term.
Yeah, it's
The old Star Wars
it's
6-pack.
not well known. All right, it's a not well known piece of vintage action figure history.
I love the 6-pack.
I know it says
bugs
right
here.
there, Star Wars 6-pack. Pretty rare item.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
never seen it.
I just came across the box on eBay, and because in my quest of trying to get boxes for my vintage things, Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
vintage Star Wars box only search, this popped up.
Well, here's what I love. It's what every Star Wars 6-pack should be, right? It's a rebel soldier from Hoth.
Yeah,
It's 3PO and R2.
get some droids.
It's Han Solo from Hoth.
You get a main character guy that everybody loves.
Throw Vader in.
Villain,
Make sure he's got backup with a snow stormtrooper.
lackey,
Lackey. It's just the ultimate 6-pack.
Yeah,
You
it's
can
good.
crack one of these open.
and you got everything you need.
You got everything you need. You're going to get in for a good night. Sit
Yeah.
around the fire, open up the Star Wars 6-pack.
Hours a good time.
Hours a good time.
But yeah,
Now, the only issue I have with this is like there's no distinguishing features of these characters, right? So meaning
it's the
there's
same
no like
ones. It's,
6-pack figures. Wouldn't that be cool?
yeah, they're
They got bottle openers on their feet or something. I mean, that would be perfect. No, I'm just saying it. You don't know whether you own a figure that came out of a 6-pack or not.
no, you don't.
That's interesting.
Because it's the same as any other one you'd buy on the card.
How much are one of these going for?
Well, that box I think is currently like $600. So imagine 6 figures in it. If we're talking thousands. We're talking.
If it's full,
yeah.
call Steve. Sansweet. We'll see what he says.
Yeah.
No, I have 3.
Yo, Steve.
I got a Star Wars keg.
Just a bunch of 6-packs together. Or
I don't know.
How's that work?
But that is pretty cool. I've never seen that box, so good find.
Yeah.
If one of our followers has one, make sure you post a picture of that.
I'd love to see that. I've never seen one in real life.
Yeah.
I've only seen pictures. Never gotten to hold one. Never gotten to view it with my own eyes. What TK1212?
Oh, yeah. We forgot to mention TK1212 is in the house.
Shout out.
Shout out. He's back there looking sexy.
Hey, Watto.
There
Dude,
he is.
can't forget that
Watto.
guy. He's around.
Yeah.
Hey, cool light you got behind you, Josh.
Thank you. I
I've
went Jedi Luke Green.
It's like pulsing on the wall, but we're also getting some pulse off of the Emperor's
Wow.
face too. you know?
Exactly. It's right before, see, Luke turns off his saber. No, returns it off.
Oh,
He's like, throws it away.
you failed.
You failed.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Oh, man. Don't make me cry. Okay. What's next?
The last thing we're going to talk about, Josh, is something that we always like to discuss on our podcasts, and this is our weekly hashtag Show Me Your Collection.
Woo!
Show me your collection.
This week's Show Me Your Collection feature, which drops Monday along with the podcast.
Today, if you're listening at home.
Can be seen on our website at www.beyondtheblastdoors.com. There's a full write-up and photo gallery, of which we will pull up for those that are watching on YouTube. We will touch on some of the things. For the full write-up and gallery, please visit beyondtheblastdoors.com. And this comes from a fella named Marc. His actual name's Marc this time.
Oh, man.
Who is...
Tell you what, Marks and Matts have the best collections.
Well, you know what we're finding out here is that we've done a lot of...
And Chris's.
we've done a lot of collections from Great Britain, right?
Yeah.
And whether they're, English or Scottish or whatever. But they've been Marks, Matts, Marshalls, another Marc. I mean, do they have other names over there?
I think the Chris's own Canada.
Chris is in Canada.
Yeah.
Andrew was in the States.
Yeah.
But this Marc is from Great Britain originally, but he lives in North Carolina now.
Oh,
I believe his wife is American. So
very cool.
he moved over. He is one of the Pala boys.
Welcome.
Good day, mate.
Good day, mate. Put another shrimp on the bobby. All righty.
No, but he lives in North Carolina, big time collector. His name's Marc, and he has his own little business, which we'll get to towards the end. But we always like to ask, hey, house fire, you can grab one or two things on the way out. What do you grab? What's your prized possession? And the picture there, you can see, is the Jedi Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi with his green lightsaber and his palace blaster, gray palace blaster. That's his favorite item. That's one that he's loved ever since he was a kid. And, like I put on the write-up, it's like hard to argue, with that classic. That's Luke as a Jedi.
Luke in the black, in the black
in the robe,
is my favorite. It's just, that's Luke. And I love it. I love it.
So when you think of Luke Skywalker, you think of this and not the farm boy?
No, I definitely think if you say Luke Skywalker, the first image that's going to come into my brain is the twin sons and, totally in his farm boy outfit. However, the hero Luke, like that's Luke I identify with, meaning that could have been me walking out of the hut on the sand. That I identify with him. I get it, man. You're coming from nothing and
kind of whiny.
You're wishing very whiny, bitching about stuff, drinking blue milk, whatever.
Kicking rocks.
But Luke in black, Jedi Luke, he's the hero. He's the guy like, man, got his hand cut off.
Did you ever find it ironic that the hero was a man in black?
I love that.
But Vader was the guy in black.
That's a whole nother rabbit trail.
That is.
That's a whole nother trail.
But you know what?
I just love it.
Let's table that for another time.
We got to talk about Marc's
collection. We got to talk about Marc's collection. That's
before
what we're
he turns
here
into
for.
a mat.
Before Marc with a C. Just another Marc with a C.
I do love that. That's a admirable piece to grab after you get your kids and dogs out. Cats or whatever.
Yeah.
Ooh, we got a slave fest.
So, we're going to go through
Slave
a few...
one fest.
Slave...
It's important.
Yes,
sorry.
Please clarify.
Sorry, Shmee.
Shout out.
Shout out to Shmee.
Shout out to Shmee. I mean, we can go through picture after picture. Was
that vintage?
He's got modern, he's got vintage, he's got the 95, there's 3 3/4 inch, 6 inch Black Series. His collection, like a lot that we've seen, is not limited to a certain kind of thing.
I love it.
Love this. First of all, I appreciate the organization.
Me too.
Right? I like that all of his slave ones were all on the same table and stuff. But this, to me, brings me joy.
It's going to make you happy. It's anytime you go out of that room.
You see all the helmets lined up, all the ships lined up.
Yeah.
It's organized. I enjoy that.
Oh, that's a Rebel Endor Rebel helmet. Took me a
Yes.
minute.
Yeah, those are Black
Oh, I
Series
like this
helmets.
one. This one I like because I
Okay.
have this problem in a couple corners of my house.
Yep. And I think that's just to show that maybe it's a little like low key flex, like, oh, I got
It is.
more. I got more in boxes, but
He's like, I got so many Falcons, I stack them.
it's like a triple cheeseburger of Falcons over there.
There's a ton of Falcons. What is that? That's like a Black Series. I don't know. Luke.
There's definitely things that
Look at those. Yeah, those Vader.
he's got
Those Vader cases
I
are.
wonder if they're full.
Yeah, no, they're not. I mean, I don't know.
Could
Mark,
be.
you tell me.
I don't know. I want to dig through it. That's all I want to know.
Looks good. I like that bin that has some real organization going on in there. There's something cool in there.
Books or
Anyway,
something.
I love that problem. Naboo fighter on top, just
definitely can relate.
for color. Naboo fighter for scale.
Just splash of color.
Oh man, look at that ultimate Falcon he's got in the back. Those things are huge.
and there are boxed items. You'll see
Yeah.
there are boxed items. There are unboxed items. You know, I wonder how he determines what he takes out.
Look at that.
That would be a question I would have for him. In fact, next time I talk to him.
That V-19 Torrent Starfighter.
Very cool.
Ooh,
Very
that's
cool.
very cool.
Very cool.
I think, yeah, those are the things that are going to, those are the things in 10, 15, 20 years. Those, I think Clone Wars, that right there makes me want to have it.
Well, and those were only shown, like, it's not like those were in all seasons of Clone
No.
Wars.
Well, they were definitely in the movies, but man, that's cool. So there's a lot more on here. I see a few things I have.
There's
I
some
like
Black
these
Series.
down bottom right corner. What are those?
Those are, I think those are ornaments, but I'm not sure. There's
You might be right.
There's a better picture of them.
A nice vintage Falcon. Beautiful. Gonna keep moving. There's the Oh yeah, nice shot of the Falcon.
And an Inquisitor.
Who's the little burn
Black
victim underneath the
Series.
Inquisitor there?
Hmm.
I mean, other than Vader, he looks charred. All right.
Actual charring.
No, I don't know. Okay, so what are those?
All right. Those are, okay, I know exactly what those are. And
Of course you do.
And I know because of Gilster 37.
Okay.
Because he had, remember when you said, oh,
Yeah.
the DVDs were lined up? They're not
that's
DVDs.
Right. That's right.
Those were Toys R Us exclusive figures.
awesome.
And they came in like a Star Wars Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi set.
Congrats for
Those are
having
cool.
some of those.
Yeah.
Those are amazing.
Yep. And thank you, Robert, for the tip.
Yeah, and a nice vintage stair step stack there. Like it.
Yeah.
He's got a little different setup with. I think I might like those non-clear platforms. Those look pretty good.
Yeah, those are sharp.
What are you thinking?
You figure out how to get one. Of
Yeah, right.
course,
We got a
he-
little box line up
he
here.
does make his own stuff, though. So, I mean, maybe.
Yeah, we're getting to that. Got an AT. Is that vintage? Got some
Um,
coloring on it. I don't.
If it
No,
looks like
it's
it's
not.
kind of muddy
There's
down
dirty.
low.
No, it's
yeah,
not. Yeah.
It might be like a Power of the Force.
That's okay.
one.
Nice little lineup. Some Black Series. Got another.
Very organized, museum quality.
Yes. Love the 12-inch figures here.
Some games. Yeah, the 12-inch figures.
Nice lineup.
I'm
Those
becoming more and more of a fan of the 12-inch.
I know you are. Those card backs line up really nicely like that. And he's got a little rail on that shelf. Oh my goodness. Wow. Those things aren't falling off anytime soon.
Yeah.
Little wall display. Got some Hot Wheels.
Yep.
More vintage. Very cool. This is a good collection. Okay, I'm getting to the now this is
So-
handmade, right?
That is one thing he made, like a little display there. It looks like Mandalorian poster that he made.
That's cool. We got some battle buddies underneath there.
So here's a shot that I know you would appreciate as a Black Series collector. You have yours displayed on a couple rows of shelves at the top
Yeah.
of your room.
Kind of like he had those helmets lined up there. Yeah.
yeah. So those are going around your top. He's got them more bookcase style.
Yep.
Um,
I like it. I like
In order.
Which series, you could just be like, oh, which book do you want to read? Oh, number 21. Here it is.
yes. Oh wait, do you know what 21 is?
I don't. I just said that and was like, dang, I wish I did. I know number 1 is Ray. So how about that?
Okay. 22, I think.
You don't know.
No,
I'm writing
22.
it down. 22. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's not. It's not. I was gonna say Qui-Gon, but I think that's 50 or 49 or something.
I know that one of those blue ones, I think it's the one on the far right. That's Yoda. So deal with that. I think it's Force Ghost Yoda.
That blue one.
Yeah, I'm picking the one.
Hey, what about the purple one? You know what the purple one is?
I don't know. Force Ghost Maze. All right. What else? Nice cards. I want to get to it. Oh, he's got a good little book collection there.
Yeah.
He's got Star Wars Trivial Pursuit. Same one we have. We should challenge him.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
All right, showdown.
This is what I want to get to.
Yes.
What a great
That's
handmade table.
I think, what do they call that? Hodgepodge? I'm
Something.
not 100% sure, but a cardback style table.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Awesome. It's awesome.
I want one. Marc, there it is. That's a great shot of his room right there.
Yep.
Awesome.
And his little computer area.
What a
where
nice room to walk into.
he allegedly is putting up his first YouTube video this weekend.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
So it's Marc with a C, Marc Shabby Geek, like play on words like shabby chic, but it's Shabby Geek. And you can find him on Twitter at Shabby Geek. You can often see him noon Pacific time on YouTube with the Pala Boys
Mm-hmm.
or the other Marc and Matt. Universal Collector.
Come on, Britain, get some names.
and Star Wars Toy Pod. But those are guys whose collections we've featured here in the last month or two. And he's
Did
often.
he miss like a whole lineup of? Are those? No, those aren't vintage up there. I thought that was like carded vintage. Can't tell behind the ceiling fan.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell.
Figure he'd probably take a shot of those. Might
Yeah.
just be, maybe newer vintage. But that's a great. I
Or
want to
maybe
show
Black
one other
Series.
thing. I'm just gonna rip through these. I know we got to get moving. Got a nice GI Joe. Looks like dresser. That's beautiful. I know you appreciate that.
Yeah, and so this is Marc's business. He
Yeah.
makes furniture that kind of has pop culture themes to it. So GI Joe, Marvel, Star Wars, and as you zip
Look at
through
that
some of
table.
these,
Yeah, Marvel. That's awesome.
and he ships cross country. I'm probably going to inquire. That right there is
That is
impressive.
amazing.
That's a Captain America chest of drawers.
Armoire. Oh, it is chest. Sorry, there's no doors.
I don't know the difference.
Doesn't matter. No, yeah, I was wrong because there's drawers all the way up.
But he does his own painting and like it's
That's beautiful. Look at the flags on it.
It's
Man.
awesome, man. It's so
GI
cool.
Joe's secret chest.
Cool. So
Boba Fett
desk.
kid's desk.
There's and if you want something specific, he'll make it. Yeah.
Mm.
And like I want a table that, has this and that on it. He'll make it.
Nice.
And it could be anything pop culture related, comic booky or action figure, whatever. And he does his business through Facebook. And you can get a hold of him on Twitter under Shabby Geek.
Well, there you go. Some beautiful. I like that piece a lot.
Yeah, that's a Nightmare Before Christmas.
Woo.
Vanity. But again, you can see the full gallery and write up on beyondtheblastdoors.com. We are big fans of Marc.
We are.
Nice job,
All
Marc.
Marks and Matts. We love them all.
Yeah, we're big fans of Matt's
Especially
and
this
Marc's
one.
and
He has a great collection.
Marshalls. And so anyway, that I think kind of wraps us up for the pod here. But just to keep an eye out, next weekend is Independence Day.
In the U.S.
In the United States. We will have something for you that Monday.
Yeah, we got a few things. I was gonna stay tuned. We got some just some stuff we're gonna throw out there. Andy and I know Andy's been making his rounds on other people's pods. We've got some ideas for a few quick clips. They might not be full shows. They might be YouTube only because they're gonna be visual. We want to introduce some more of what we do outside of our pod, which is
kind of why we started podding.
Yeah, so we're utilizing our studio and the cameras that we have, and we're going to bring you guys some cool stuff. We hope you like it. I'm not going to give anything away right now. It's nothing crazy, but
can we tell them what we're going to do next weekend?
Sure, go ahead.
About a year ago, Josh and
And
I.
this is going to be a series, by the way.
Yeah, Josh and I were invited to a guy was selling his collection. We got invited to take a look at it, see if we wanted to buy anything out.
A rather large
A
collection.
rather large collection. This is a lifetime collection.
Yeah.
You know,
At least of the pieces he was ready to get rid of, but it's a
sure. It
big
was vast.
collection.
It was
Yeah.
vast, and so we got invited to take a look at it. And this is why it's cool to do this as friends, right? Hey, Andy, come down to this place. The guy's got his collection here, and things for sale. Okay, I'll be right there. We go together. Oh yeah. So anyway, I had purchased some things. Josh had purchased some things. The things that Josh purchased, he put in tubs, and because there was a lot of it, he stashed them. Now, a year has gone by.
Right.
These tubs have still been where they have been for a year.
Right.
And so we're going to take one tub out, and we're going to revisit what was inside this particular tub. And how many tubs are there?
There are four kind of like 30-gallon tubs, I think they would be. Yeah.
Kind of get at Target.
So we don't know. I don't remember. I have a vague idea of a few things that I really liked, but there was one open box that isn't in a tub. It was just a cardboard box that stuff. And that, when I went to get these items, was in my site, and I looked in it and got super excited. I was like, oh my gosh, these are cool. So
hopefully they're not all the cool things in one box.
we don't know. We just don't know. We don't know. And we're gonna just kind of do a almost a mystery box reveal, live, not live, at least on video, and just show you what we find, talk about it a little bit. If you like watching guys open presents at Christmas, I guess, then tune in.
Yeah, this is
if you don't,
this is a tub.
It's a tub. We're gonna do what's in the bin. Oh, that'd be a callback to Two Med right there. What's in the bin? But or maybe a mystery bin or bin wondering.
Cargo hold.
Cargo hold. There we go. Finally, I'm writing that down.
Don't forget it.
All right. So yeah, so we'll have a few things for you. Like we said, might just be YouTube only. I know we love our podcast listeners, and so we always try to include you. But you might want to pop over to YouTube to get some fun.
It's not going to be as cool if you don't.
It just won't. All right.
It just won't. You want to watch.
Yeah. Like it's in a package. It looks like Darth Vader. No. You want
It's Darth Vader.
We got some cool stuff. There's one Darth Vader thing, the thing I told you about. I was like, this thing's cool right here. I mean, we probably spend 10 minutes a toy. We got to be careful. All right. So yeah, I think that's it. So stay tuned. Thanks for following us. Thanks for listening. Catch us at Holochronicles on Twitter.
Instagram and Facebook.
Instagram, Facebook. Go to beyondtheblastdoors.com. Read some cool articles. I know Andy puts a lot of work into the Show Me Your Collection, which we just went through, and so reading up on that. I know, like you just mentioned at the beginning, Shannon's article is fantastic about the squadron. So just go check us out there. It's a great parking lot for some really cool stuff. And then, of course, we've got 5 other shows with us. And
you can find them all on the website.
Yeah, and if you want to support 6 shows for the price of one, you can go to Patreon at Beyond the Blast Doors /Beyond the Blast Doors, and first level starts at like $5. That goes. We put everything towards giving you guys content, and the more we can give you, the better. So thank you for listening. You're the best.